Welcome everybody to another Friday evening Hope Exchange. It's the Ambigo Brighton and Hove Hope Exchange. Woo! I'm Adam, I'm from Ambigo, and what we do is we bring people together to exchange support for their goals, ideas and ambitions. And today we're really privileged to be doing this one in partnership with Kennedy Street Foundation, an incredible charity doing wonderful work in Brighton and Hove. We're going to hear all about them in just a moment, but first let me bring in Andy because he's going to tell us all about the Wall of Ambition. So what is this all about, Andy?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I can think of, what better things to do with your Friday. Oh, I must say this, Adam, going, woo! It's much better if we do it together, Otherwise, it's kind of like you on your
After
own.
three, yeah? Three, two, one.
Woo! Woo! There we go.
Oh, it doesn't work with the time delay, though.
My system. Thank you very much for indulging us. This is the Ambigo Wall of Ambition. It is about 7.5 foot, 8 foot tall. It's as wider than my arms stretch, and it goes out with us on various journeys. It comes along for little excursions. And what we do is we invite people to put up what we call an ambition calling card. It's a very simple thing. It's just a statement that says something you would like to do, an ambition, a project, a task, something you'd like to get done. And then what we do is we just encourage people to put them up with maybe a comment about the help you might like. And the help could be anything. It could be, I don't know how to start. How do I start this? Or it could be right the way down the line of, do you know someone who could actually sew that together for me? Brilliant. So what we do is we invite people to put this up on the wall and we just leave it there. We adorn it with lovely snacks. We have wonderful, really wonderful volunteers who will just happily kind of gently corral people in if they want to be corralled. Otherwise, we leave them alone. And people read these things, and if they're inspired, they put up a little post-it note. If they feel they can help someone's dream come true, then we'll get them to put up a word of advice, maybe, or contact with someone who could actually help, or maybe a statement saying, I'd like to come along. And if you do that this evening, then we'll make sure that those people who are putting up ambitions get that note. In short, that's what it is. We're not on New Road. We're not in Cape Town Carnival. We're not out in the deepest wilds of beautiful Hove. We're sadly, best we can get to it is the street corner of your internet. Thank you for letting us in. That's what it is, Adam. This is what it is.
Street corner of your internet. I like it. Okay, so what's actually going to happen this evening? We're going to have 6 people on who are part of the Kennedy Street family, and they're going to be expressing something that they would really like to do, some kind of goal, idea or ambition. And it really could be anything. We're going to find out together what it's all about for them this evening. And then the invitation will be open for you watching to contribute any kind of information, contacts, advice, or any other kind of support that you might like to offer. So this event is, as ever, open to your comments. So I'll go through the different ways you can get in touch in a bit, but one quick thing to say is that you can just leave a comment on Facebook if you're watching us there, or on YouTube, and it will appear on the side of our screen, and we'll be able to bring it in. So you know how we were doing our woos earlier, Andy? Well, so was Claire, you see?
Woo!
And speak of the devil, Claire Kennedy.
Yay! Oh, it's so...
Hi, Claire. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks, Adam. How are you?
Well, tremendous, and we're really happy to have you along. So we're so excited to be doing an event in partnership with Kennedy Street because, as you and I both know, we've been, doing stuff together in Brighton and Hove for the last few years, helping each other and supporting each other. So do you want to tell the people watching, first of all, what it is that Kennedy Street does?
Yes. And thank you for this lovely opportunity. I feel very blessed to know you, as you know I do. So what do Kennedy Street do? So I've been doing stuff in the community for 22 years, supporting people into recovery. And on moving to Brighton, I set up Kennedy Street, which started off as a not-for-profit project. And then this year, we changed our legal structure to a charity because everything that we do is charitable, and it's all done from the heart. What we do, we're a peer-led project, so we're peer-led by people in recovery, for anybody that's interested in finding out more about recovery. And what we do is we encourage people to come forward, get some support from us if they need it, And then once they've stabilised in recovery, we integrate them into recovery communities or wherever they need support. And then they join our team and they become part of our fabulous family, which is, and we do have a cross section of people, actually. It's not just people in recovery. We have some great business connectors too, who you'll meet a few of them tonight, who are really supportive of the work that we do. Yeah, so that's what we do.
Yeah, and you've supported so many people. Have you got a tally of how many people have actually come through your programs and things so far?
Oh my gosh, you mean over the last 7 years, we've helped over 800 people. In the last 8 weeks alone, me personally, I've only tallied my figure up. I've integrated 32 people into a recovery community in the last 8 weeks virtually. So I've done it all virtually. So I've virtually accompanied them as like a recovery buddy.
Well done. Amazing. And we should move on to our first participant, but briefly, do you want to just touch on, how much more needed Kennedy Street has been in the last couple of months or so?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, normally, like I say, we've been operating for 7 years in Brighton. We get about 5 inquiries a week. And since the pandemic, I've been receiving over 20 inquiries a day, and from a really diverse community members. So from frontline workers to teachers to stay-at-home mums, just people struggling with all sorts of different addictions. It's not just drug and alcohol. So it's even as family members, there's a lot of people struggling with somebody else's addiction. And what we want to do is just offer virtual support and signposting. So we integrate people where we can into recovery communities and into other support structures if the need be.
Yeah. And I know they're going to be extremely grateful for it. So thank you so much, Claire. You'll be popping back in a bit later on. But how about we get stuck into the action tonight and hear from our first participant. See you later, Claire. So our first person coming up is sat nicely in his garden along with the seagulls, and that's Daniel. Good evening, Daniel.
Hi, Adam. How are you doing?
I'm doing tremendously well. Thank you very much. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks so much for inviting me to this, and thanks to Claire as well for putting us together. So and great work that Claire's doing at the moment. Yeah, so brilliant to be part of this. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Yeah. So would you like to tell us what your goal, idea, or ambition is all about?
Yeah, of course. I thought it was apt to be sitting in my garden this evening because basically I'm working on a project to try to plan and finance and basically build Brighton City Art Garden, which is basically a creative garden for children to come and engage in the activities of art and gardening in order to improve mental health and emotional development.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've got a little document that you sent earlier that I'm going to share with people as well, because you've really been thinking hard about what you're doing and how you want to present it as well. So hopefully everybody can now see this, and this will just give you a bit of a visual taste of what Daniel's wanting to do and is doing. So tell us a bit more about it. How long has this been a part of your life?
So, I mean, the core themes of creativity and gardening have been a big part of my life for a long time as my own personal passions. But most of the last 12 years I've spent working as a children's television producer. So I've been creating a lot of series for children's television for the likes of CBeebies and Channel 5 and Nickelodeon that basically encourage emotional well-being in children and also encourage them to get outdoors. On the third page of my presentation, you can see some images of some of the shows that I've been responsible for in the past. I created a series called Waverley for CBeebies, which encouraged yoga and emotional well-being and outdoor play for children. And then I created a show called Whisper for Channel 5 and Nickelodeon about 4 years ago, which was all about a little girl who can talk to animals and goes on adventures in nature. And I think that since moving to Brighton, and sort of exploring my own connection with gardening and creativity, I've effectively wanted to try to do something more directly with children. Wanted to work more directly with a smaller group of children where I can create positive change. So it led me to coming up with the idea of Brighton City Art Garden to benefit the mental health and emotional development of children in Brighton and Hove.
Okay, and how far along in this journey are you?
So I've only been working on it actively for a couple of months. So it's quite early stages. But being a sort of visual person and having some experience in the development and production of children's series, allows me to create nice presentations and to try and make good contacts and connections. So it does feel like it's gaining some momentum quite quickly, which is exciting. People seem to be responding really positively to the idea.
Okay, so tell us what you need help with to progress with this.
So effectively, what I ultimately am going to need to do is I'm going to need to fund the garden. So I'm going to need to find a suitable plot of land, as near to the centre of Brighton and Hove as possible. And I'm going to need to landscape that and prepare it as a space, as a serene and lively natural space where children of all abilities can come and do gardening and do creative activities in order to improve their mental health and their development and their well-being.
So just looking at a couple of the things in this list as well in terms of what will help you to achieve this, and funding, of course, is a big one. That's a big one for everybody that runs any kind of organisation or wants to start something.
Absolutely.
Have you had any pointers in that regard?
Well, I've thanks to Claire, actually, she put me in touch with a guy called Mark McTaggart from Rebellion, and Mark is helping me to develop my business and finance plan, and he's ultimately going to help me with some funding bids to start to try and pull the finance together. But yeah, I mean, there's a number of other areas that I also need support. I mean, looking for that suitable site is something that I'm going to need to do. And I've got things like the council and housing associations and the university on my list as places where there might be some available land. But to be honest, because I'm at such an early stage in the project, Adam, I'm keen to find volunteers, contacts, links to local schools and networks, any sort of support, help, advice, or signposting to try and realise, this garden, would be, I'd be so grateful for.
Well, you mentioned that so far the feedback has been very positive, that people feel there's a need for it. We've already had a comment coming in from Caitlin saying, wow, Brighton City Art Garden sounds incredible, Daniel. Thank you, Caitlin. Why do you think it is that there is such a positive response to this idea? Do you think it's captured a moment in some way?
Well, I do think it's a little bit timely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we all know and understand that there's a strong link between positive mental health and activities like gardening, like art therapy, like free play in nature for children, that sort of thing. But I think also because of lockdown and because of COVID and everything, I think a lot of families have kind of they found themselves, back to basics, and there's been a rediscovery of things like gardening and cooking and baking and craft and art-based activities in the home that have really helped people to get through this difficult period. And I think although the world is going to reopen again, I hope that some of these things are things that people remember as key parts of what can really help you through difficult times. And yeah, subsequently, I'd like to give that gift to as many children in Brighton and Hove as possible. Thank
you for having a chat with us from your garden as well. It does seem rather apt.
Most of everything here I've grown from seed. Yeah.
Oh, let's have a look. Can you show us?
It's so there's not many flowers yet, but it's starting to flourish.
Very nice. Well, you haven't had to do much watering recently, have you? Last few days?
No, unfortunately not. No, but it's all good for the plants.
Yeah. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, well, I'm going to, for the first time of a million times this evening, I'm going to be reminding people how they can get in touch. There are 3 ways to do it if you think that you can help Daniel with anything he needs that he's mentioned so far. So you can either leave a comment on Facebook underneath this video or on YouTube, if that's where you're watching us. You can click on the link that you'll see in the text next to this video. If you do so, you'll join the backstage area here, then we can bring you in and you can actually say for yourself what it is that you'd like to say. Or you can send a message on WhatsApp. If you've got a smartphone, just go on there, type a message and send it to that number right there at the bottom of your screen. Agatha is there waiting for your messages and she'll pass them on to us. Thank you very much, Daniel. We're going to head over to Andy now in our 5-way studio. And Andy has been writing down your ambition and what would help you achieve it. And let's see if he's managed to capture everything.
Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Andy.
Hey, thank you for joining us. Oh my God, it is such a lovely idea. Yeah, you're describing the kind of city I want to live in. So, you know, I think it's lovely. And one of the things I do love about Brighton and Hove is just how it's full of so many creative people. So it would be no surprise to me to hear lots of people wanting to join in on this this fabulous idea. However, I shouldn't really be expressing an opinion, though I just did. My role here, as you're probably aware, is really just to hear what you're saying and try and do my best to summarize it on the fly onto what we call an ambition calling card, which I've attempted to do. And what I'd like to do is just check this with you, make sure I've caught your idea, make sure I've not missed or misunderstood anything significant. Are you okay for me to do this?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks so much for your help.
Oh, pleasure, seriously. Okay, so Daniel, you want to build Brighton City Art Garden, a place for young people to enjoy nature for their, oh, look at that, their mental and emotional well-being. Yeah, and I noticed, because you said so, that there would be an art studio on site, as well as the opportunity to grow things and be in contact with nature. So it's a double benefit.
Yeah, so it's basically the dual use of creativity and connection with nature, gardening, to significant, and the two can be very closely interwoven as well.
Yeah.
You know, because there are many things that you can draw and photograph and film in nature, and you know, you can kind of blend art and gardening together to create basically a wellness space of activities and classes.
Yeah, I'm in my mind's eye, I'm seeing that idea, as well as the lovely thing about nature-driven scavenge hunts to produce collages and who knows what else.
Absolutely, yeah. Another key point that I didn't actually make earlier was our specialist focus group is going to be autistic children. So we're very keen to make them a focus because, you know, I mean, I've got some sort of personal interest in that area. And so I'm passionate about it, but also, you know, that gardening and creativity can make significant difference to children on the autistic spectrum.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me as well. And it's nice to include that, as well as giving a nice safe space for including...
it's like a niche and a micro niche, if you like, you know. So we want to do, you know, try and improve the mental health of as many children as possible in Brighton and Hove, but we want to focus and hopefully provide free services to children on the autistic spectrum.
Yes, brilliant. Now we come to the help that you're calling for, and you've confided in us that this is really an early stage in the development. Though I've got to admit, the material you presented is beautifully polished. It looks like an idea that's actually well honed.
Oh, well, you know, I'm just good at Photoshop.
Good for you. Anyway, so I've caught 3 key areas of help, which is one, to find land for the garden as central as possible, as accessible as possible. And when I read that, and when I heard you talk about it, and I've been hearing a lot of stuff about how to rejuvenate our town centres, it really strikes me that that this becomes a really lovely way to draw people into our town centres. So if you're able to get that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, no, it'd be amazing. I mean, if you could find some old vacant lot or, disused car park and turn a
Yeah,
lump of, concrete into a beautiful, verdant, inner city art garden, it would
yeah.
be a fantastic thing to do. And I'm sure it would be really popular and it would be great for the environment.
I would so want to go there,
Yeah,
especially if
you're
there's
very
a little
welcome when
coffee
you get
shop.
up and running. Please do. Bring any
Yeah,
kids.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. Of course, there's the issue of raising funds. I'm glad to hear you got some help there, but one of the magics of Ambigo is the casual viewer who might know something that we don't. So if there's someone with a top tip, or someone who actually knows a landowner, or somebody who knows somebody
Exactly.
who's
Exactly. Any contact, signposting, any of that sort of thing. And ultimately, the funding will be a mix of finance anyway. We might do some crowdfunding, get some grant funding, maybe get even some private investment. So there's a lot of different ways that we can that people can help us, and we can work with people to raise the finance.
Yes, that got to admit sounds exciting to me. And of course, the third item in there are volunteers on many levels. You've mentioned kind of people maybe to help do some grunt work. Forgive me for putting it that way, but also advisors, tips, advice, people with specialist knowledge that might be really useful, and an overall support.
Yeah, links to local schools. People who want to come and help in the garden, people who can teach certain certain types of lessons, specialist, art teachers, art therapists, people with experience with children with special needs, people with experience with children on the autistic spectrum, anyone who, is keen to help on a project like this that might have some core skills would be obviously so useful as the project unfolds and develops.
Especially at this stage, and our friends in the permaculture community around the city as well, and those looking for, what do they call it, circular economy, kind of ways of connecting us back to homegrown foods and so on. So there may be a wealth of information out there.
Absolutely, yeah. And something I didn't mention earlier as well, that ultimately I'm going to need a sort of landscape gardener or a landscape gardening company to help me to quote on the landscaping of the plot, for budgetary requirements. So, if there's any local gardening or landscaping companies that would be willing to give me a quote, for free at this stage, with a view to potentially them helping to, build the garden once we get the funding, that's crucial.
Partnering in on the funding bid as well, maybe.
Indeed.
Excellent. Daniel, with your permission then, let me change cameras and draw you back to the Great Wall. There it is, the Wall of Ambitions. It's nice to see you, by the way. This is what I look like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take your ambition and I'm going to wrap it up nice and centrally on the wall, if that's okay with you.
Thank you.
It is a pleasure. Here we go. So, Daniel, your little ambition calling card, as what's the word, scribed by me, I hope I've done it justice, goes there. And normally what happens is we encourage people to just gently browse. Now, what happens is they tend to read these things at their own pace, and that's part of the magic of it. It's something that allows you to browse and read things at your pace. You get to see what's going on, what's in other people's minds, what they're excited about, and hopefully you might find something there that inspires you, or because we've discovered it's a real buzz to be able to actually help somebody. If you know something there that might help Daniel, then we normally have a whole load of post-it notes lying around and colored pens for people to sort of put up post-it notes whenever they like. Sadly, because of the whole lockdown thing, I have to do it for you. But I'm happy to do so. It's not the same as you being able to do it yourself. Now, in Daniel's case, as you said, if you are on top, or you know somebody who really does have that knowledge about how to access the land, how to get past all the land permissions, has that perfect place. There's a great big place that you happen to own right next door to Churchill Square or something. I don't know, and it's not being used, and you'd like to throw it over to this, then please get in touch. That'll be a brilliant thing. Likewise, if you're an expert at funding, and I know there's a lot of skill out there in Brighton and Hove for fundraising, so I'm hoping someone might be able to give just some advice to start with, or maybe some ideas for alternative ways of funding as well. And Daniel has listed a kind of wonderful umbrella of ways that he'd consider, which make a lot of sense. There may be some revenue streams, gosh, that's a fancy phrase, attached to this for ways of it sustaining itself down the line. And of course, my personal favorite, anyone who wants to get involved, it's a call out here. If you like the idea, you'd like to help make this thing happen, a jewel in the heart of Brighton and Hove, to rival the Royal Pavilion, why not? And then come and join in. And I'm sure Daniel will happily have a chat. If you hit it off, brilliant. If you don't, nothing lost. You know, it's a great opportunity. As we've been talking, Daniel, has anything else come up in terms of what you would like to help out with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think another thing that we need to look at, you always, when you're developing a sort of larger, you know, CIC or social enterprise, you quite often have to test it first and test those results and record them in order to go for the significantly larger pots of funding, you know, and
Yes.
give them confidence to support the project. So even things like, you know, finding an allotment or a local community garden that I could run some tests, you know, where I could bring a small group of children there to do some gardening projects or do some art projects, and record it, photograph it, you know, monitor, you know, the kind of wellness of the children, you know, and hopefully the positive development of the children, you know, through that test would all be sort of a fantastic way to sort of prove the concept. So yeah, somewhere to do that, you know, like someone's
That's an excellent idea. That sounds really good to me.
Or even a community hall where we could do an art group, you know.
Mm-hmm. What pops up in my mind is we've had conversations with the wonderful guys at Plot 22, a community allotment, who might be interested in you testing out the art side of that, and so on. What we'll do is we'll look up, because it's somewhere, we've got the contact. We'll look up the contact and, you know, see if we can't nudge them to do that. Likewise,
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, likewise, our friends over at Brighton Permaculture Trust and up at Stanmer Organics and so on. We'll see if we can't nudge them to have that chat as well.
Perfect.
Which one of these I love about this city is you know, the connections. Right. What we'll do then is make the call, and here am I talking to you saying, please make a comment. Feel free to do so. Not just on Daniel's ambition, but any of the other ambitions that appear this evening. Or if you fancy watching our previous shows, any of the ambitions there, this show is going out live now, as we know, but it's also going to be available for watchback to see later on, and we'll be promoting it for that. So if you're watching on the repeat or you're watching live, feel free to make the comment. It'll get through to us. Which raises the question, how do people contact us? We're going to be doing this a lot in the evening because it's part of the process. We have people come in and out during the show. And we're joined here by my friend and colleague, Adam. There he is. Adam, I'm going to ask you, not for the first time and definitely not for the last, how can people get in touch with us?
Okay, 3 ways. One way is to leave a comment on Facebook underneath this video you're watching now, or on YouTube, if that's where you're watching it. Otherwise, you can click on the link that you'll see next to this video and you'll join us here in the broadcast yourself, and we'll bring you in from a backstage area. Don't worry, you're not just going to suddenly appear on screen live. And then the third way you can get in touch is by sending a WhatsApp message. Look at that number there. There it is. Just send a WhatsApp message to that number and Agatha will pick it up and pass it on to us. So if you do want to leave a message on Facebook, then it will appear on our screen, just like that, where somebody very kindly called Ambigo has left a message saying that's the address for Plot 22. So that's how you can get in touch that way. I'm just going to bring in Kenny now. So we'll come back to you in a bit, Andy. But Kenny is actually going to be one of the participants later on in the event. And he's actually got a bit of words of advice for you, Daniel. Hi, Kenny.
Wow. Hi, Kenny.
Oh, we can't hear you at the moment, Kenny. Your mic's on mute.
There you go. I had to
try again
and put my mic on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Go ahead.
The reason that I wanted to come in is because I made a, let me see where I am. I made a little comment in the sidebar to Adam. I live on an estate called Sylvan Hall Estate in Brighton. I don't know if you know Sylvan Hall Estate. It's in the Round Hill area of Brighton.
Is that behind Phoenix? Or?
No, it's as you go from the level up Ditchling Road.
Yeah.
It's on the corner between Upper Lewis Road and Ditchling Road. There's a council estate. The top right-hand corner of that estate, it's quite a substantial plot, and it's been overgrown for years. And the Residents Association have been trying to find someone to do something with that plot of land for ages. And I'm on the Residents Association, I know.
Wow.
We've had ideas about turning it into an orchard. As you can imagine with funding recently, the council are very reluctant to manicure gardens that no one wants to go to.
Yeah.
If it's a bit of land that no one walks in, they tend to leave it. It's at the top of a steep hill and at the end of Prince's Crescent.
Pretty central though, isn't it?
It is very central. I mean, the Round Hill area is a nice area as well. It's got a very good community in the Round Hill area. It's got lots of children and lots of potential. Encouraged to get involved in doing our own gardens on the estate. A lot of people have got vegetable boxes, and I stoned my area. I do the front, because if you don't, the council these days can't afford to. So the reason I messaged was just an idea to maybe with Brighton Hove City Council or the Residents Association here, see if it's something that a bit of land that they would let you play with. They might very well just say yeah, but that'd be perfect. The other idea I wanted to speak about as well was about 20 years ago, I was a councillor at Worthing Town Hall, and we did a garden on the beach. And the idea of the garden was to demonstrate how to have a garden that doesn't need watering. So the council paid for half of it, and what's the water board? Southern Water paid for the other half. And I just thought, in terms of, I mean, you know this stuff, but in terms of allying yourself with education, there might very well be someone out there who's really into your idea, education-wise. I'm sure you've already thought of. But it's just worth mentioning.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think it's absolutely possible to build a working garden on the beach. You know, there's a brilliant one in Dungeness made by the artist Derek Jarman, and but yeah, I mean, finding that space, for a community garden, where you suggest sounds potentially fantastic. Because there's a ready-made community there who would hugely benefit from it. The children, could all get involved and engaged in it.
Chaps, I'm going to have to jump in. Is it okay if we connect you afterwards so you can carry on the conversation? I think these ideas could bounce back and forth all evening. Thank you very much, Kenny. We'll come back to you.
Kenny. That's brilliant.
No worries.
Lovely. Thanks, Kenny. We'll come back to you soon. Well, we've already got a nice connection there for you, Danny. So hopefully that will come to something, and this will grow and grow. Please do keep in touch, and we'll pass on any other support that comes your way. Yeah?
Absolutely. Green shoots, Adam. Green shoots. It feels great.
Just before you go, here's a nice comment from Chris, who says, I'm not Brighton based, just outside, but my children are home educated, and the home ed community would relish the opportunity to learn outside.
They're on my list. Yeah, I want to get in touch with homeschooling communities and invite them to classes in the garden, to bring children who are being homeschooled together. I think that would be perfect.
Brilliant. Okay, well, Chris has commented on Facebook, so you can perhaps find his comment there and get in touch with him directly. Thanks, Chris.
That's brilliant.
And thank you, Daniel. That's been wonderful. We're going to have to move swiftly on to our next participant now, but thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us.
Thanks for your time. It's been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye. Wow. Okay. I'm not even going to do a bit of waffle in between. Let's go straight to our next participant, who's been waiting very patiently, and her name is Emily. Thank you so much, Emily, for being there and for waiting for us. But I hope you'll understand that Kenny came in with some really good information there for Daniel, so it was a pleasure to bring that to him. First of all, how are you doing, Emily?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Yes. Well, that was a wonderful start to the event. So, yeah, feeling great now. Now it's your turn. So let's hear about an idea that you've got. Now, we had a chat, was it yesterday, I think? Yeah, just yesterday about this. And it's got me excited because it's kind of like the starting point of an idea that could potentially flourish and help people. Tell us about it.
So I'm volunteering for Kennedy Street and I have a background in the arts. So I wanted to make some sort of artist community for people in recovery. I know that creative outlets have helped people a lot during the lockdown. And I was speaking with Claire, the CEO, and it's meant to help you when you're recovering as well. So I think it's just a seed at the moment. I'm not really sure where it will go, but I would like it to be like a community-led and based group.
And is art your thing? You know, has it always been your favorite thing to do?
Yeah, definitely. Since I could hold a pencil, it's always been my favorite thing. So I know it's helped me a lot, especially when I've had troubles with my mental health. It's really helped me get back on track and just have something that I like doing. It can boost your confidence. So I just wanted to share that with other people.
And what do you think that's about? What is the power of art, do you think, that makes it have that effect?
I think that you can't be wrong. So if somebody, like, it's you could say draw this and you get 3 people to do it. They're all going to come up with something different, but nobody has the right answer. And there's no wrong way to make art. So it's just something nice to do, and you feel like proud of yourself afterwards if it looks semi-decent. When you're an artist, you're very critical of your own work anyway, but I don't think you have to be good at something to participate. I sing all the time, but I'm terrible.
Well, just so happens that I've got some of my artwork here, and yeah, you can tell that I'm not the world's most renowned artist, but you know, I'd give it a go in one of your sessions if you were to do them. So in these sessions that you have the idea for, there are many types of art. What kind of art are you thinking of introducing?
Well, I think for beginners, it doesn't have to be something that's a set idea. I think it would be more you focus on a topic, and you'd have lots of different materials that people could choose from, and people will be drawn to different materials and make something completely different from the person they're sat next to. So yeah, I think it's more topic based than skill set or genre in terms of impressionism or
That's great. It sounds really inclusive. So at the moment, what would you say you needed help with, given that it's at an idea stage?
Definitely people that are interested. That would be a start. But further down the line, it would be more, well, you'd need materials, and so like paper or artist pens, materials like that, paint, easels. But at the beginning, it would just be seeing if people wanted to get involved, and who, yeah, just anyone locally that what needs a community to get involved in. Yeah, I don't know. It's very early on.
Well, I think you mentioned to me yesterday, which sounded like a good idea, to perhaps hear of people who have had experiences themselves of using art in a therapeutic way, you know, and maybe if they could share those experiences with you, that could help.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, I mean, I'm not an art therapist. It wouldn't be something, you know, that I'm like guiding someone with their own issues. It would be more a creative outlet for people to get involved in, something to take their mind off it, a sense of community. Yeah.
Well, it sounds a lot of fun to me. It sounds like you could just get stuck in, doesn't matter what your level is, doesn't matter where you're at with your life. It's just something to express.
Yeah, exactly.
Lovely. Let's head over to Andy now, who's been writing this down, and he's been capturing this idea.
Well, I've been trying to capture it. Emily, hello.
Hiya.
Thank you very much for joining us. And it's a lovely idea. I love this idea. But then, you know, you're going to hear me say that about everyone, but I honestly mean it. Yeah. There you go. I just backed myself into a weird kind of cul-de-sac there. Yes. And there is something amazing about just, you know, doing the arty stuff outside of yourself. I've got a personal experience that mirrors something of what you said. It's really nice to have been able to to come back to myself from some really dark places using that. So, you know, it's lovely of you to be able to share this. It's a very generous thing to do. Okay, my job here, as you know, is to try and capture and summarize the ambition on our ambition calling card, and to check with you that whether I caught it right. Are you okay if we go through what I've written?
Yeah, of course.
Right, here we go. So you would like to make an artist community for people in recovery. The details are emerging, and I love it when someone brings an ambition at this stage, as well as later stages, because part of your call for help is really help on how to develop it, and that's exciting. And some of the features in there is as an inclusive and accessible space, in a way that is easy for people to get involved in. Now, when it comes to the call for help, brilliant, really candid call for help there. Basically, just contact with people who would be interested, you know, so that they can help you develop this idea that you can. And it's very user-led, as they say. It comes from you and your fellows, your colleagues, your new friends, let's hope, and so on, coming up with that idea. And then you did say, further down the line, sure, access to materials, some of the practical stuff, maybe places where you can do this stuff, you know, you can be creative together in that really non-judgmental way. And you're doing this from a peer, from a person to person, sort of we're in this together level. It's not someone who is an art therapist doing therapy for you. This is really just sharing together. Have I understood this right?
Yeah, you have, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, with your permission then, let me change cameras. Here we go. Yes, and I get to wave and say, hello, Emily.
Hello.
This is me. It's lovely to see you. Here we go. What I'm going to do, with your permission, is take your ambition calling card, as we like to call it, and get it located on the wall. And you know, what's going through my mind is a little while ago, we had someone come through who was who had a similar story as yours, but not connected with recovery, but connected with mental distress. And I'm going to look up her details and see if I can't make the introduction. And as we do more and more of these Ambigo type events, it becomes a real privilege to meet people like yourself, who just have a seed of an idea, and to meet others and be able to make those connections to people you might never have met. I personally think that's the best part of the whole Ambigo thing. Anyway, I go on. Let's see. Emily, let's get your ambition up here on the wall. And for those people who tuned in, this is the wall of ambition. It's 7.5 foot tall. It normally goes out to public spaces with us. And we invite people to do exactly what Emily has done, though normally we'd invite her to write this down for herself, or to sit with one of our fantastic volunteers who would help write it for her if she needed that. And to take as long or as fast as she wanted to do so, and place it on this wall, which is a public space normally. And here we invite people to just have a little browse, to read through people's ambitions at your own speed. And maybe if you get inspired, to grab a post-it note and put a note up, maybe a word of encouragement or two, like that's a fabulous idea, go for it, or something like that. Or maybe some tips and advice, maybe something that Emily might not know. She might know it, but maybe something that she doesn't know that may be really useful to her, like groups of people who she may be able to get in touch with, who are doing similar things, and then she may be able to create a body focused for people going through the recovery experience that borrows from all the energy that you have in whatever doing stuff for other people. Maybe, who knows, if you're involved in something like that, get in touch. There may be some lovely tips and advice you can give Emily. Likewise, if you know somebody who can actually do something, especially later down the line, if you're on top of the venue, for example, if you've just created Brighton City Art Garden and and Emily and her growing group of people doing art stuff, that might be a brilliant partnership. And being able to go to this new garden to do arty stuff, those sorts of contacts are fabulous. And of course, really, really importantly, and this is the heart of Ambigo, if you want to go along on the journey yourself because it speaks to you, it's part of your experience, and so on, get in touch. We'll be more than happy to make the connection. And if you hit it off, brilliant. If you're able to help each other, brilliant. If you're able to learn from each other, brilliant, and so on. The worst that happens is if you don't hit it off, in which case, fine. But if you do, even better. As we've been talking, Emily, has anything occurred to you? Anything else that you'd like us to ask for on your behalf?
Not necessarily something you could ask for, but I was thinking maybe it could be like a family based thing as well. I know obviously with a lot of people that struggle with addiction, they tend to become isolated from their family. So maybe it could be something for them to reach out and reconnect with them. It was just a thought that popped into my head while you were talking.
That's a stunningly, I love that thought, especially because of the isolation part of it. So being able to reconnect through something outside of ourselves, but still connect with ourselves, which of course is part of the magic of this. Lovely, lovely thought. I think then it comes time for me to ask my friend and colleague Adam to come back in, because what I'm going to do is ask him the usual question. Adam, how can people get in touch and leave a comment for Emily?
It couldn't be easier, because if you're watching this on Facebook, you can leave a comment underneath the original Facebook Live on Ambigo's page or on Kennedy Street's page, and you just write a comment and it will appear just like this. Caitlin saying, I'd definitely be interested in coming along to one of your sessions, Emily. How about that?
Thank you. That would be cool.
Yeah. We've got another couple of comments for you as well, but just to carry on explaining the ways people can get in touch, you can also click on the link that's right next to this video and you'll actually appear in a backstage area, and then we'll bring you in and you can actually explain yourself what it is that you'd like to say. Or you can send a message on WhatsApp. Right at the bottom, scrolling across the bottom of your screen now, is the number to get in touch with Agatha, who will pass on the messages to us to read out. Meanwhile, we've had a really lovely comment come in from Teresa, just for you, Emily. Now, it's quite a big one, so it's taken up half the screen, so we've got to peep over the top. But Teresa says, I've been writing poetry since I lost my partner 2 years ago, so I 100% agree with what Emily's saying. Writing is so good for mental health too. I put lots of my thoughts down on paper, which takes it out of my head. And exactly what Emily said, there are no rights or wrong ways, because each piece of art or story is personal to each person. And I'm willing to show some of my poems if anyone wants to have a look, which is a really lovely comment. Thank you so much, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And also finally for now, one from Alison, who says, Emily, maybe to start with, you could appeal for art materials on FreeCycle and other sites. So FreeCycle is a place where you can go and just say you need something, and if somebody's got it lying around the house and they're not using it, they'll let you have it for free.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Top tip.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, so there's one called FreeCycle, then there's one very similar called Freegle as well. So free is in F-R-E-E and then G-L-E. I think it's .org, but don't quote me on it. But if you do a search on your search engine, you'll find it. Thank you so much for your comments coming through. How about that, Emily? Anything else you'd like to add?
Thanks for listening. I don't know.
Lovely. We've really enjoyed having you on, Emily. Really excited to see how this develops as well.
Me.
So we'll get in touch with any more support that comes through, and stay in touch with us as well to let us know how you get on with the idea.
I will do.
Lovely.
Thank you,
Emily.
much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow, I think we've had two happy customers there, Andy, so far.
And two brilliant ambitions, really lovely ambitions. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
How about we hear a third one? And we've got somebody ready and waiting, and his name is Paz. Good evening, Paz.
Okay, just unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. Yeah, just thanks for having me on, Adam and Andy. And yeah, it's just awesome to be here.
Yeah, thank you for waiting so long as well. You should have been on about 9 minutes ago, but here you are. We've got to you eventually. Tell us then, Paz, what's the goal or ambition that you'd like to share?
Okay, sorry, could I just start by just thanking Claire and Kennedy Street for this opportunity to be here. I've only literally started becoming a volunteer for their organisation, I think this week. Had my induction yesterday, so it's just like, wow, just suddenly come onto this, and I'm like, this is all happening so fast. So yeah, sorry about the emails I'm sending across to you. So let me just start by just saying, yeah, just hello to everyone tuning in. Thanks for listening to me. Seems like you've got a wonderful community that you've created, and I'd love to be a part of that in the future. My name's Paresh Limbacha, known as Paz. It means peace in Spanish. It was a nickname given to me when I was in school. Paresh may be a little bit hard to say, so I decided to create this logo. I'm not sure if that's the camera there. There we go. Peace sign. So I'm born and bred in Brighton. I'm interested in films and television since I was a little kid. It was kind of like a third parent to me, while my real parents were, working really hard. And I took this interest into education, such as taking media studies, GCSE level, A-level level. Then I went to do media production at, I think it was Brighton City College, and then went off to do film up in Middlesex University. And yeah, now I'm just here, obviously trying to share my goal and ambition, which if I've kind of got two sort of similar ones, trying to be a bit cheeky here. If Andy could use blue and red pens, I don't see him using blue ones, so he might struggle with that. But if I just say the blue one is Paz Media, so obviously the little peace sign. So with that, it's just kind of like my portfolio site. It's people that can just go on and see what I've got going on. I want to make short films about just getting stories out there, similar to I think the one session you did with the Good Business Club. It's on YouTube, with an old friend of mine back from school called Edson Pavia, who does Elite Pro Fitness, and he's trying to help disadvantaged youths trying to get into sort of gymming and all that type of stuff. So I'd love to connect back with him. It's been 15 years or something. Just show what he's up to, try and get some more support for him, try and just help kids, kind of get off the streets and kind of not into the bad things and just get into some positive things. Just have some arm around the shoulder, definitely something that Edson did for me. So if I can kind of help him do that and other like-minded people, Brighton's a big city, it's hard to get around to everyone, so love to do that. Music videos, property walkthroughs, wedding parties and events, TV production, obviously all about Adam, live events and photography. So that's kind of like the Paz Media bubble. And then I've got another business, which is more of the corporate side of things, which is called Imposing Image. And this is kind of written in red. So Andy back at 5 Ways. So basically, this is just video and content marketing. And this is promotional videos, case study videos, and social media content. It's all corporate, all marketing. Same kind of vibe though, just trying to make a difference out there in terms of business, looking to do, the interesting businesses that are around in Brighton, because obviously there's a lot of good causes out there and people thinking a bit outside the box. Definitely like to do that. Yeah, I've said quite a lot, so I'm going to get back in.
Well, I think Andy does have a blue pen and a red pen, but I'm not sure he's got enough ink to write down all of your ideas. So we'll see. But yeah. So what is it that you're looking for help with at the moment?
Okay, so basically I'm just looking to network with like-minded people. I kind of obviously done all my studies and stuff, but I haven't really got out there to people to kind of meet face-to-face, the people that are interested in just telling their story in video. It can be quite a long process, obviously, with your history. It can take months and weeks to develop. Sometimes you can make it more complicated than it is. Sometimes, it is complicated. Obviously collaborate with others on community projects. Love to just get out there with people who've got bands that need music videos. People obviously need their events recorded. People that just want to make films, actors out there, film crew, just want to collaborate with things. People that are writing scripts, people that got novels, people got short stories that just based around Brighton and they're just inspired by what's going on. Could be lockdown related or other things that are going on currently or something in the past. Just love to just network with people. And yeah, in terms of the Imposing Image side of things, it's just any businesses that are interested in utilizing video marketing advice and mentorship, because I'm quite a sort of green shoot, as they say, and just networking, collaboration in general. Just people, just come on board if you like what you see, just get in touch, and we can start work together.
And so what's the business model, if I can ask? Is one kind of feeding the other?
So one, I guess Paz Media is something that I created back at school. It was just an identity, kind of like a Superman thing, alter ego. That's just where everything just goes as a kind of a video dump. And I've done some things in the community. I think it was the homeless. It's like a homeless organization. I can't completely forget their name now. But I've got a video online about their kind of initial, what they're trying to do in terms of funding. So I'm always looking for things that are interesting online through like Eventbrite, kind of contact organizers and see if they want to, collaborate on some video stuff. Just want to share things. I want to make a difference out here, make use of the skills that I have, and I guess change the world. But within Brighton, let's get Brighton, like a utopia, and then be the model for the rest of the world. So it'd be awesome.
Yeah, you said that the media had kind of been films and things had been like a third parent to you. That's a really intriguing comment to make. Can you tell me a bit more, briefly if you can, because actually we're running a bit behind, so we best get to Andy very quickly. But how has it played such an important part in your life? How much has it influenced you?
So just a quick point, actually, you might know my dad. He works at the BMECP Centre. His name's
I was going to say, you know what?
Surname.
He once gave me your business card, and it clicked only just as you were talking. When you showed the logo, I was like, you gave me a business card for if we needed any, filming done. Anyway, carry on.
So he used to run a newsagent. It's very common with people from Indian background or Asian backgrounds, British Asians. They used to do sort of 11, 13-hour days, probably more than that. And if you've got to run a business, just 2 employees, back in the days when I was young, newsagents were the thing. Nowadays, obviously Tesco's and Asda and stuff, it's just kind of taken over. But those days it was busy. There's a lot of customers coming in. It's not really a lot of time for, developing your children. They obviously did amazing for the short amount of time that they had. And I just used to just zone out into the TV, music, anything I could just grab onto, and it would just go into my brain, spark my imagination, and I just grab my toys and try and replicate things and just write ideas down, comics and things like that. And obviously now I'm older, I can potentially just grab a camera, get some actors together and actually just try and make things that I wanted to do. And just to kind of summarize it, it's I want to ultimately make things for the little me when I was young, because obviously I didn't really have that much kind of interaction. I would love to make things so people feel like they're together and just not alone, I guess, maybe something like that.
That's really nice to hear. That's lovely. Thank you so much, Paz, for explaining all of that. Let's head to Andy now and see if he's managed to get it all down in the right colours. Andy?
Hi, Paz.
Andy, how you doing? Sorry about the spiel. I should have sent you the email document. Could have prepped it beforehand.
Your spiel is brilliant. And in fact, it helps to show people your real self. This is one of the things that makes the difference in what we do. Actually meeting real people. And of course, we often start with just the idea. And when you get to know the idea, then you start to get to know the real person and not the surface of the person, which sometimes we make inappropriate judgments about. It's nice to see. And you've been wonderful. You've gone in and you shared a couple of lovely ideas. And my job, as you know, as the disembodied voice that goes alongside the ambition calling card, is to just check with you that I have actually understood what you said and that I've caught it about right. Are you okay for me to go through this?
Yeah, go for it, Andy.
Oh, here we go. Right. So, color-coded. Thank you for challenging me
OCD,
on that.
I apologise for that.
That's good. I like that. Paz Media, which is a lovely label, and it's really about making short films to get people's stories out there. And it's also the whole media, the filmmaking. I'm going to use the word business because there you're talking about making films for people, helping them represent themselves. and you've got a real understanding from what you're saying of getting to their story so you can help that be represented through the film media. And then the second area of ambition, which you've used a sort of working title, a sort of label for it, of imposing image, is the video and content marketing. Again, very much around supporting business. And it stands separate from the filmmaking, but there's something very common in both of those, which is understanding what the people you're working with, they may be clients, they may be collaborators, are really trying to say, what they hold in their essence, and you're helping them draw that through to a way of communicating either through film, through the Paz media, or through the whole plethora of marketing methods in the video and content marketing area. So then that takes us on to your call for help, and it's elegant. It's very simple. It's easy to respond to. It's networking, and you spotted it. You're new to the industry, as you've told us yourself. Networking at this stage is the heart of it. Well done for calling for that. It's going to be a joy to try and put you in touch with our friends over at, we'll try and get you the contact for the people we know in the Chamber of Commerce, and and because of what you're talking about, you may have seen the show we did in fact, you were talking about it with a Good Business Club and so on. So yeah, introducing you to Ruth and Sarah, if you have not already made those contacts, I'm sure you're going to benefit. So really, it's networking with like-minded people for many reasons, including those who want to make films, those who want to collaborate, and of course, anyone who could use your skills. So clients as well as colleagues, collaborators as well as supporters, a community of like-minded fellow workers doing media stuff, and other areas where those connections can grow. Paz, is that about it? Have I caught that right?
Yeah, definitely on the ambition side. I think that's a little bit related to maybe my parents or something, because growing up in a business probably makes me very business minded. So you've probably kind of seen through that. And then, definitely you've hit the nail on the head in terms of networking. It's just really important to get out there and, connect with people and start making some stuff. So yeah, thank you very much, Andy, for summarizing that for me.
Pleasure. Nothing wrong with business. We live in a market world, so having those skills are going to be useful. I'm going to swap cameras if that's okay. And that gets me the opportunity of waving and saying hello. It's really nice to see you again, Pat.
Yeah, you too.
There we go. So what I want to do is I want to grab the ambition and put it on the wall. Is that okay?
Yes.
I'm going to do it even if you said no. In fact, if you had said no, I don't know what I would do. So Paz, brilliant. Your ambition calling card, or rather the one I've scribed for you as best I can, goes up on our wall of ambitions. And as I've said before, but if you're new to the show, this wall behind me normally comes out to public spaces. You might get to see it in places like New Road or Kemp Town Carnival, or a Freshers' Fair at the university, or deep in the hearts of East Brighton, or stuff like that. And we invite you to just come and browse people's ambitions, have a nose, see what people are into. And whilst you're browsing, if you feel inspired, if you feel you have some advice that you can share, or you know someone who can help, like somebody who's on top of a network of filmmakers who's running some kind of club or something, or you'd like to join in and be part of that network, get to know Paz as a colleague, as a fellow creator and so on, get in touch, drop us a line. We'll put together the equivalent of a post-it note for you, and we'll make sure, our pledge is to make sure that any useful comment or maybe just words of encouragement that you leave with us will go to everyone who leaves an ambition. We like to call these people ambitioneers. I hope that's okay, Paz. We like to call you an ambitioneer. Oh, brilliant. And look, your website has just appeared on the screen, which will help people make that connection direct as well. Let's go have a look at your stuff, Right, Paz, as we have been talking, have any other calls for help occurred to you? Any other things you can use?
No, I think, to be fair, I think you hit the nail on the head with the networking. I think just, from all the notes I've got down, you just completely underlined it a few times, and that's just it. It's just as simple as just get out there and mingle with people.
Point, isn't it? Yeah.
It's difficult in these times, but for the fact that you've done it and you've facilitated through like Facebook, and you've done it through YouTube, and you're approachable via email and stuff like that, and you kept it going through difficult times, is awesome. So thank you both for doing that.
Truth is, we really like meeting people in real life, because the main thing is it means that I can shut up and I can actually listen, because you and other people, you're really interesting. You have something to share, and we at Ambigo, we really listen. That's our starting point. It's a bit weird for us to be here talking and broadcasting. Talking about talking and broadcasting, what I'd like to do is ask my colleague and friend Adam to jump back in order to talk at and broadcast to you ways that you could get in touch with us. Are you right?
3 ways to do it. 3 ways. So one is to do what you've been doing so far this evening, some of you, and that's comment on Facebook. So just like I have there, it will appear on our screen if we select it. Also, you can click on the link that you'll find next to the video, and we can actually bring you into the broadcast yourself, or you can send a message on WhatsApp. Agatha will be picking those up, and the number is about to scroll across the bottom of your screen any moment now. I've actually left another comment, Paz, because when you said you wanted to get in touch regarding people who might not want video shooting and that kind of thing, something that popped into my mind was something called Mango Mammals. So I've linked to this on Ambigo's Facebook page. And what Mango Mammals is a record label that's recently been started by a group of people who wanted to start one for people with learning disabilities. So we had somebody called Ben on, when was that? Must have been about a month or so ago now, who was a participant just like you in one of our events, who said that he was looking to grow this label. And he got connected with all sorts of people who watched the event after it was broadcast, so after it was live. So I just wondered if you might want to check them out, actually, because they'll be looking for people to shoot music videos as well, when it's possible.
Yeah, awesome. I'll get in touch with him for sure.
Brilliant. Lovely.
Hey,
well,
Ben,
as I say,
watching.
Yes. Yeah, do get in touch as well, Ben, if you are. So as I say, we'll pass on any kind of support that comes in from the people that watch this after it's broadcast. And we'll also be making a social media post out of this as well. So we'll spread it further afield too.
Thank you very much, guys, for your time. And thanks for everyone for listening back at home.
Yes, thank you so much, Baz. Thanks for being there. And thanks for all the great work you're doing.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Paz. Wonderful. This is going swimmingly. Let's go straight to our next participant. It's non-stop this evening. Thanks, Andy. And the next person up, you may have already seen this evening. His name's Kenny. Hello, Kenny.
Hi. Let me get in the middle. There we are.
It's funny, isn't it, right? Because you have to move left to go right and vice versa. So it catches you out.
Confusing for someone with my IQ.
Tell us, Kenny, you've already helped Daniel so far this evening. What is it that you'd like to do?
Oh, it's really weird. I've listened to some really great ideas tonight. My ideas are really straightforward one. Over many times, people have said to me that maybe you should write a book, and I've never done it. I've never delved into the egotistical aspect of wanting to write a book. I've never felt that me writing a book about me was a good idea. But over the last few years, I've really wanted to, and that's basically it, really. I want to try and get help. I have this dream and this idea of writing a book, getting it published, finding some kind of ghostwriter, finding out about self-publishing or getting someone to publish it who is interested in the idea. But the only way I can really do that, I have to kind of explain what the book would be about, really, because it's not really about me. I'm in recovery myself, and the book is about, although it would be a story about me and my life, the book really is about complex trauma. I'm a mental health nurse, and what I've found over my life is that behind every human being, there's this unconscious script. In some of us, it's fine. It drives us to business. In some of us, it's fine. It drives us to do well. Some of us have got this script where we build our lives up and then smash it to pieces repeatedly. It comes in many forms: alcoholism, addiction, personality disorder, self-harm, overeating, being dishonest, being promiscuous. Like, you can go on and on and on. But behaviours we know are difficult, but we're compelled to do anyway. And I'm interested in writing this book. Just to give you an indication, I've been elected as a councillor. I've had my photograph taken with the leader of one of the political parties. I was quite successful. I smashed my life to pieces, and I didn't know why. I've been in the army. I spent 7 years in Prince of Wales Royal Regiment. For someone who's been in prison when he was younger, that's quite an achievement. I've worked with lifers in Lewes Prison. I've worked in police stations. For someone who's been arrested multiple times, it's quite an achievement. I've been married and bought 3 houses and lost them all. And I've never known why any of this has happened. And there's a new term for personality disorder. It's called complex trauma. The difference between complex trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder is that your trauma comes from a million different events. So when someone asks you, why do you do that? You just don't know. Because each one individual event on its own means nothing. It might be you didn't eat properly, you were neglected, you weren't picked up from school on time, you were bullied. None of those events are particularly traumatic. Like in a war, it's one event. But in their totality, by the time you get to your adult years, very often young girls particularly are cutting themselves. I'm a mental health nurse. I work with it all the time. Just an indication, there was a girl crying at work recently who had cut her arm. And I sat down with her and I said to her, very often people act that way to try and communicate something to people that they can't put into words. And she said to me, what do you think I'm trying to say? And I said, you're probably trying to tell me that you're really in pain. And she just burst out crying. And she said, you've summed up my life. And I said, why are you in pain? She said, I don't know. That's complex trauma. She just doesn't know. And I want to write a book that's for people who suffer with it, people who don't know why they behave in a certain way, people who are nurses, people who are in recovery, to try and get rid of some stigma. And I want to use my story and the achieving stuff and the constant failure as a vehicle to do that. So at least my life served for something. Now I'm in a position where things are great. But it'd be really nice to work with someone who knows about ghostwriting. The costs are prohibitive. Who knows about interviews? I got struck off as a nurse, and then I got restored to the register as a nurse. It's not normal. And I don't know why that happens to me consistently, but something's going on. And as a result of that, I was in the Nursing Times and the Nursing Standard as an article. And all these things are in my history that I want to use as stepping stones to tell some kind of story that maybe helps someone who reads it, who wants to know why, despite their best efforts, they are sort of their own worst enemy. That's the story I want to tell. So that they feel, I believe honestly that I'm fed up with doctors who diagnose you for just being different. I don't think being different should be a diagnosis. I think there are a billion ways to be a human being and they're all correct. And I just want to do that. I want to just dispel some stigma with a story. That's my dream. It's not really something, I'm not doing it because I want to make money. I don't care what happens to any money if it made any. I just want the book out there. And that's basically it. I sent it off to a series of ghostwriters, 7 in fact. They all loved it, but they were all too expensive, which is the story of a book, isn't it? Mm. That's it. That's my dream.
Thanks for being so honest with the whole backstory to it as well. For those of us who don't have a clue about that industry, how much does a ghostwriter tend to cost then?
Well, you can self-publish if you can get it written for about £1,000. But one ghostwriter wanted to charge about £27,000, and it was a series of interviews. And what they do is they interview you in 6 or 4 hour slots over 6 months, and they put your story in some kind of readable order. I don't know that they all got the idea of the book, but every single one of them were a bit hesitant. They didn't know much about complex trauma or the nursing aspect, but they did know how to sensationalize and sell my story.
Mm.
I don't really care what happens, as long as my dream is that girls read it and go, that's why I cut myself. There's nothing wrong with me.
Mm.
I've just got this complex trauma. It's so complex I can't put a finger on what it is. It's why people have got anorexia. It's why people hurt themselves. It's why people take drugs. It's why people steal. Prisons are full of people who are dyslexic, for example, because they misbehaved in school, because they couldn't pay attention. They weren't naughty, they were dyslexic, and now they're in prison. Do you get what I mean? It's almost like I would like something for people to read, for people to point to and go, have you read that book? You're not odd. That's what I'd like. But like I said, the costs are very prohibitive. And maybe, I suppose what I'm looking for is someone who wants to be a ghostwriter, or is a journalist, or who is interested in the idea, or who wants to do a long-term project, or, you know, I don't know really. I'm throwing the idea out into the ether. I feel like a vampire. I've got a bloodshot eye. I feel like you're talking to the vampires. But and it's just something I'd like to be. I've never given up on anything. It's what's picked me back up off the floor every time. And I just need to be a dog with a bone with this idea, because I'd love it to happen. That's the truth. Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you. Well, you've got the makings of an absolutely fascinating story. So I would love to read it. Andy's ready already. He's got all of this down. Let's see how he's.
Oh, what happened there? Well, I think Adam was going to say, let's see how he's done. And let's find out how I've done. Kenny, hello. Really nice to meet you.
You too.
Thanks for joining us. My job, as you know, is to try and describe and summarize what you said in my bestest handwriting, stumbling through my bestest spelling, and hopefully, capturing what you said. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to just check that what I've written actually tallies with what you're thinking. You okay for us to do that?
Please do, yes.
Cool, here we go. So Kenny, I've written that you are thinking about writing a book and getting it published and all the practical stuff. And it's emerged later on that the thing you're focusing on at the moment in the first place is the writing of it, hence the talk about ghostwriters and so on.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is inspired by your experiences, personal and also in supporting others. And it's specifically focused in on this term, the complex trauma, which you eloquently explained, very, very clearly explained. Thank you for doing so. Not a single cause and effect, but multiple causes that leave the person going through that unaware of why it's happening, but still experiencing the pain, the trauma, and the unwanted behaviors that comes from that. Which you describe.
You listen to that and describe it so well. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Well, pleasure. It's what we do really. So in terms of the help, and it is that you would like to work with someone to help make the book happen. And as you went on, it really is the writing thing that's important here. Hence, you're talking about a ghostwriter, or maybe someone able to do more than just edit. I've written editor there, but really it's more than just edit, because it's part of the organizing of what you're sharing into this written form. So maybe even a co-writer.
Yeah.
So, and the important thing here is it's got to be affordable. 27,000 out of your own back pocket. Yeah, that's painful. I felt for you when you said that. So maybe a collab. Sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I was just saying, I know it's a ridiculous amount of money, but
it feels like it.
6 months work for a professional writer. That's what they charge.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. Hats off to them. There's something else going on here. There's a beautiful story that, from what you've told me, I can see being really useful to help people understand that experience of not knowing why people are doing these things to themselves, being destructive, self-destructive, or destructive around them, and so on. So maybe a call for collaborator, and I think we're in the right city for this. The city is full of really creative people, and the more I travel in the city, I'm finding a lot of compassionate people. So it will be an honor if we can connect you to some creative writers who are, creative people with the ability to write, who can co-write this with you, and be able to do the writing part of it. Kenny, is there anything I've missed there or misunderstood?
No, you've hit the nail on the head. I had when they wrote an article in the Nursing Times and in the Nursing Standard about my restoration to the register, yeah. I remember really well the journalist phoning me, and I remember the process of her talking to me over the phone for maybe 2 or 3 hours spread over 6 phone calls. Yeah. And then emailed backwards and forwards this story, and she kept switching up the order. And what she actually produced was so much better than what I said and what I would have written myself. They are an essential thing. People writing is a definite skill. Yeah. Because you're not writing it to write it. You're writing it to be read, which is a very different thing. Yeah. And so I just don't have that skill, and that's what I'm looking for, is someone to. Right.
Okay. With your permission, then I'm going to swap cameras. Because what I'd like to do is show everybody the wall of ambition, which is behind me. And with your permission, actually, I always say with your permission. If you said no, I really don't know what I'd do. So
I really feel like saying no just to wind you up.
So regardless of whether you're going to let me or not.
Yes, good man. That's it.
I'm going to take the ambition calling card that I have scribed on your behalf, and I'm going to put it here on the wall of ambitions. And as I think about it, one of the things that occurs to me is that we're sitting in a city with a couple of universities, and there may be a pathway here where someone can co-write as a research project in the way that the journalist did that journalist research thing. The trick is that the writer writes what you say in a way that you think works for the communication, but you still recognize yourself in those words. That's what we hope to find here. So it's a privilege and an honor to be able to put your ambition up on the wall and say to people watching, if you have any comments for Kenny, maybe a few words of encouragement, that would be great. If you find an affinity to what he's saying, then, get in touch and so on. Let us know. We'll make that connection. If you have any tips and advice about the publishing thing, really very much around the how to write. It may be, having listened to Kenny speak, it may be that Kenny, you might discover that you're actually really good at writing, but you don't know it. And you just need the right kind of mentor or something like that. So if you mentor people writing and you think Kenny has the potential, let him know. It'd be really lovely to make that connection. It may not be that it's about writing, it may be about time as well, in which case, if you've got time and so on to co-write, then get in touch as well. Or if you know people who are not charging, who are able to do that investment in the beginning for very low cost, and maybe in a conversation with Kenny, talk about sharing profit. He's not doing it for the money, he said so. You said so, Kenny. Thank you for sharing that. So maybe there'll be a kind of profit share that you're paid down the line, plus you're helping people get to know this really horrible experience, which is now labeled complex trauma. Yeah. And of course, if you want to join in or you want to learn about the Hove writing thing, get in touch as well, because being surrounded by people who are also trying to do the same sort of things, you can share solutions. Yeah. Kenny, as we've been talking, has anything else come up as something you'd like to ask for?
No, not really. It's just, many years ago, when, maybe 40, 30, 50 years ago, when they looked at people with eating disorders or with alcoholism or with addiction, and they knew they were unhealthy, but they didn't know what to do with it. So they bolted all that onto psychiatry, and they've given them individual diagnoses. Everyone's got a script. You've got one, I've got one. We just don't know why we're doing it. It's called below our unconscious, there's a subconscious, right? We don't know why we're doing that. And all I want to do is explain that and get that through to people.
I think it's good learning.
Wrong with you. You're just an individual.
Yeah, it may well be.
There's no invalid way to be a human being. That's all I want.
And it may well be that what we're talking about here are healthy ways of dealing with seriously unhealthy situations that do not fit in to the way we live together.
Well, that's what I say to patients. I say to people when they say that, what shall I do? I'm depressed, or what shall I do? I do this. I always say, why don't you embrace that person and see where they take you?
Yeah. Be your own champion. Talking about our own champions, I'd like to invite our own champion in the form of Adam.
Please do.
Because what I'd like to do, that was my best attempt to try and do a segue. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good. Perfectly.
Is to ask you, Adam, if people are inspired or feel that they can help, how could they possibly get in touch?
Well, you can leave a comment on Facebook or YouTube if that's where you're watching this, or you can click on the link that's next to this video and you'll join us here in this broadcast area and we'll bring you in. Or you can send a message on WhatsApp if that's your thing, and the number's just disappeared off the bottom of your screen, but it will come back round in a minute. So Agatha is being very kind and she's receiving your WhatsApp messages ready to pass on to us. So thank you if you're looking to do that. We have had a comment come in here from Alison saying, have you tried a writers group? And she's put a link to one there. I think that might be on the Ambigo Facebook page. So that's something to look at. That's Brighton and Hove Libraries there. Thank you very much. That's a nice comment. Also, I've just put a link on the Ambigo Facebook page as well to the Writers Network UK. And the reason I've done that is because we had somebody on a few weeks ago called Carrie who wanted to publish some children's storybooks that she'd written and illustrated. And that was a group that we post. So we create social media posts out of each person's ambition, and we posted into that one with Carrie's ambition. And she got quite a lot of support in there from people just offering different ideas for the things she needed, because she had no experience in writing or publishing books. So that might be a good place to go and say, what do you do if you need to find a ghostwriter? It might be that your ask is.
Yeah.
More comments. We'll be sure to pass them on to you, Kenny, because we really hear the passion. It really comes through the screen, So we want to make sure that we can connect you with as many people as possible who might be able to support you. So thanks so much for sharing it so candidly, and we'll be back in touch soon.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Adam. Thanks, Andy. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Kenny. Cheers. Brilliant, Andy. Now, we would normally do a bit of a tour of the wall, wouldn't we, to sum up all of the ambitions so far, but time's running on, so we're going to have to crack on. We've got two more participants to come, Steph and Cerise, and let's go to Steph, who is ready and waiting for us. Hey, Steph.
Hiya, can you hear me?
Yes, really loud and clear. Thank you very much for being there.
Okay.
Tell us what is your goal or ambition that you'd like to share?
Well, so I'm a graphic designer, creative designer. It's not really something new in a sense. It's really more sort of like building on what I've already got. So, I mean, my company is called Say Design UK, and it's been established for about 16 years now. So I've got a pool of clients, but I sort of came to a point where I wanted to do more than just doing work and paying the bills. I really wanted to feel like I wanted to give back to the community and support people in some way. So that's how I met Claire Kennedy in the first place, is that I found out about a workshop she was doing on becoming a social enterprise. So I went along and did the workshop, and that was really eye-opening for me. And then I've also support Claire with volunteering, so I've helped her with her brand. I've done some marketing materials for her, and also just sort of like tech support, setting up systems, and mentoring some of the other volunteers, and that's really rewarding. I guess for me, I don't know which route to go. I suppose it's either I'm a for-profit organisation where I get some higher ticket like clients, and I can put a chunk of that profit into a separate pot, which I can then use that money to support other people, or I maybe become a social enterprise. There are no design agencies out there which are actual social enterprises, not that I've really come across. You get design agencies that will give a discount to like non-profit companies, but not that's actually set up as a social enterprise themselves. So I find that quite interesting. But it also, I get a bit confused with it, really, knowing what to do. So yes, I mean, I do have clients that I do that for anyway, that I do support, that are either recovering from addictions or alcoholism, or are single parents, or are just don't have a lot of finance. So what I end up doing is I will spread payments or give them a reduced rate. But on long term, that isn't really sustainable, because it's money coming out of my pocket and I need to support my lifestyle, my bills, and then that's also really limits what I can give to others. Whereas if I can create a pot of money, either through funding as a social enterprise or as a for-profit, then I can then put all of that money towards helping someone start afresh. So in short, the idea is, a lot of people that have had trauma or mental health problems or addiction problems are very intelligent people, very ambitious, very hard-working people. It's just that something's happened in their life that has stopped them. And now, as they're recovering, they want to rebuild their lives and maybe start up a business. And that's where I can come in and say, right, have you thought about your branding? What is your message? How are you going to market yourself? So that's really kind of like how I want to get involved. So that's sort of like the plan. It's just how to get there. Practically, how can I get to that point from where I am now,
So what's your ask to the people who are watching this now and the people that will go on to watch it later? How is it that they might be able to help?
So I guess, I already do networking and some stuff, so I don't think it's really about networking. I think it's more about targeting the right people, the people that are the higher ticket clients and that also have a social mission themselves, that are looking to invest or contribute. So I can work for do creative work for a higher ticket higher paying client, which then a percentage of that profits can go towards helping others. So that would be one side, more targeted. So where do I find those people? How do I approach those people? Are there specific networks that would be worth me sort of going to? And then the other side is the becoming a social enterprise. If there's people out there that have gone through that transition from being an established business, turning it into a social enterprise, and if they've got any help or advice in doing that, really,
And why is it so important to you to do this kind of the work for good, not just out there to make money? What draws you to doing that?
Yeah, well, I think I'm a bit of a hippie at heart. And I'd get the most satisfaction out of helping other people. And that's the truth. So I do have corporate clients, and I have worked for international, worldwide clients. But I get real satisfaction out of helping someone get an idea and take it and see it grow. And there's a lot of people out there that have lots of great ideas, but they don't necessarily have the skills or the contacts or the funds in place to be able to make those ideas. So and as well, I'm an independent person myself. I'm that sole trader. I'm that independent business. So I've also got experience of the highs and the lows. So I have empathy as well for people in those situations,
Well, it's so easy, isn't it, to go into a business, start your own thing, and then because you want to be altruistic and help others, that you end up doing that at the expense of your own bill paying capabilities. So it sounds like you're really at the point where, like, you're aware that you want to do the stuff for good, but also you're very aware that you're valuable as well, that you're worth a lot. So yeah, it's finding that balance and finding the path forward for it. So thanks for articulating that so clearly for us, so that people watching can help. Let's go over to Andy, who has been scribing this for us. Andy.
Hello, Steph.
Hiya.
Hey, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been great.
A joy. And of course, thank you for bringing your business on the show as well. We love ambitions from all walks of life. And this is a very interesting one because you're recognizing the business bit, but you're also wanting to do, this thing about giving back to the community. And it's very generous and lovely of you to do so. So here's what I've heard. I'm going to read through and check with you, and then I'll come back and make sure that I've understood it right. Here we go. Are you okay if I do this, by the way?
Yeah, sure.
Jolly good. So as an experienced graphic designer with an existing client group and so on, you'd like to do some more work giving back to the community. But I've also heard hearing in there, the way you'd like to do this is using the skills that you've developed. And that's a lovely thing. That's very important. There you are, sitting on top of these high skills. You're not suddenly looking to do something that you don't know how to do. It's lending that experience through. But I'm also hearing that you're not quite sure. There's an unsureness there about whether to channel, to work solidly to get more higher paying clients, so that you can channel, effectively self-tax, so channel more of the profit into the sectors that need the money, or to use your skills to help those people who are forming up new businesses, especially if they're businesses for good, as just often said, in the social enterprise or for community for community intent. Stumbled over my own words there. That was quite fun. So in terms of the help you're looking for, now you said in which I've written in the blue and the sort of purple at the bottom, targeting higher ticket clients, those networks of those organizations which have the greater amount of money, but also have a corporate social responsibility, who would embrace your looking to charge them and be able to channel some of that money through to good causes. And of course, the second area that you're exploring, which is to target social enterprises, so long as you can sustainably do the work for them. So above this, I've written that part of your call for help that I'm hearing is really ideas and advice on how to create the funds that you're looking for, be it through money that you've earned or a sharing of your actions, so that you can support the community in a sustainable way, in a way that doesn't end up costing you, but allows you to make that contribution. And of course, we live in Brighton and Hove, which is full of a lot of innovation. And with our colleagues and friends in the Good Business Club, for example, a load of organizations that are looking at trying to be sustainable as well as with a community focus. So there may well be a lot of advice out there that could give you some tips that could say, yeah, Steph, actually, your best bet is to charge lots and lots of money and give us the surplus. Or they may say, yeah, there is a way of being able to charge enough so that you can help us through these things and we can share that burden. Have I understood your ambition right?
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing is with the social enterprise, it's not necessarily targeting the social enterprises. It's about me becoming a social enterprise. So either being a for-profit or becoming a social enterprise. Because if I turn my company into a social enterprise, I'll then be able to apply for funding, which I can then use to help others. Gotcha. So it's which direction, and also the path to either direction, which seems to be the best option. So yeah.
That helps a lot. I'm really glad we checked that. And then what I'm going to do now, with your permission, is just swap cameras over.
Okay, lovely.
Here we go. Hello, this is me. It's nice to see you, really. And then grab your ambition and put it up on the wall of ambitions. Here we go. So that we can formally share it with all the wonderful people who might be walking past on this internet street corner. And that's an important point that you've made. I'm really glad you checked that. So it's tips and advice so that Steph can evaluate, lovely word that, whether the better path is for her to form into a social enterprise so that she can help raise funds to do her skillful stuff to help businesses that need that couldn't necessarily afford it. And of course, as a social enterprise, you may well also be able to do that as well as sell your services to high ticket clients. And of course, if you're a business guru, someone who knows about community interest companies, community interest organizations, and can give that and help Steph do the pros and cons of which pathway to do. It sounds like that's going to be a useful thing to help Steph move from her current business with its clientele into a new shape that has a greater for good element.
Yeah.
And, I do commend our friends in the Good Business Club. We'll make sure you get that connection. They have lots and lots of clever, smart folks there with experience who may be able to help you workshop through exploring that. Of course, other organizations exist on top of the Good Business Club, which is why we put the request out to you watching. If you know people, if you're a consultant, if you actually have set up your own businesses, because you've hit this very same issue that Steph has. You want to do stuff for good, you want it to be sustainable, you don't know whether to go for, you've made the decision about whether to put yourself in a place where you can attract grants and funds as well as clients, or whether you want to set up basically a big corporate social responsibility bit so that you can, channel funds through, then get in touch. It would be a joy and delight to put you in touch with Steph. Of course, words of encouragement. It's always lovely to hear those. It's nice to know we're not alone, and it's also nice to know we're appreciated. And of course, if this speaks to you and you don't know, then get in touch as well, because there's a camaraderie, there's a sharing, there's a solidarity that might come out of kind of getting to know Steph and maybe becoming bestest friends as you bring your own businesses forwards. As we've been talking, Steph, is there anything else that you're thinking might be useful to you?
No, I think that sounds really cool. What you were saying sounds really interesting,
It does,
and I also quite like the idea of finding other people that are on the same journey so that we can grow together. That sounds really nice.
Lovely. In which case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my friend and colleague Adam to pop back in as if by magic, very much like a genie out of a lamp. Oh genie of Ambigo, could you please tell us how people can get in touch and share thoughts and ideas with Steph?
Oh dear. Yes, I can. So one way is to do what several other people have been doing and just leave a simple comment on Facebook. So if you're watching this on the Kennedy Street page or you're watching it on the Ambigo page, then just drop a comment there and we'll be able to show it on the screen. Or you can click on the link that accompanies this video and you'll actually join us in this broadcast and we can bring you in. Or you can send a message to Agatha on WhatsApp and the phone number for that is about to scroll across the bottom of our screen. So just, you'll like this one, Steph. Kenny's been in touch. Steph is amazing, one of my loveliest friends. If my book ever takes off, she'll be designing the cover. Kenny. Did you know that already, or is that a new offer?
That's a new one. I'll keep that one marked. Yeah.
Nice one. And I've just commented on the Ambigo Facebook page as well. Do you know about B Corps?
No, I don't. No.
So you were talking about targeting the businesses that are more likely to have a social conscience or want to give something back to society. Well, that's what B Corps are. So these are organizations of all different sizes. So you've got massive organizations. I think Danone, for example, I think they're a B Corp now. And what a B Corp is basically a business that has committed and has taken action to make sure that they're operating sustainably and ethically. So there's nothing dodgy going on anywhere in their chains. So if you're a B Corp, then basically you're doing business for good. And there are a lot of B Corps that also have budgets to spend on things like design. So I'll put that link there in the Facebook comments on the Ambigo page. So if you go to that, you can click on that and you'll find out more.
Excellent.
Cool.
That's
Lovely. Just checking through all of the comments. So yeah, we're going to be making a social media post out of your ambition, and so we'll be in touch as well when we're doing that. And if anybody else contributes any kind of support, then we'll pass it on to you, of course.
Lovely. Thank you so much, guys. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
Steph. And by the
Take
way,
care.
thank you for your comments on a previous show that we did with the Good Business Club that helped somebody else. So yeah, it's circular, this thing, isn't it?
Definitely.
Lovely. Thanks a lot, Steph.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Oh, there she goes.
Yep.
Right, we're into our last quarter of an hour already, Andy. Can you believe
I
it?
know.
Well, before we waffle on too long and take up more time, let's go straight to Cerise, because Cerise is waiting for us and we want to hear all about what she wants to do. Hiya, Cerise.
Hello. Hi.
What's
Can you
that
hear me?
beeping? Have you got a lorry reversing into your room?
No, it's the fire alarm. A fire truck came to my building about half an hour ago, which is the worst timing. But they've caught, there was a fire downstairs, and they actually put it out, and the building still has the alarm going, so we're waiting for someone to come and fix it. So it's like the worst luck ever. I actually went across the street with my mobile phone, and I was going to do it that way, like by any means necessary.
Oh, thank you for considering that. So just to 100% clarify, you've checked that the fire is not still raging?
Yes, the building is safe. The firefighters came and they checked on us. So
all right, everybody watching, let's persist. It'll be worth it. All right, Cerise, let's talk about what we're supposed to be talking about. What is it that you'd like to bring to the event this evening? What's your ambition?
Well, basically, I've just started a company. It's very green, very evergreen, and it's called Creationers. And basically, I want to provide courses, creative courses that are very unique, sort of bespoke. And the social aspect, I mean, at the moment it's a for-profit company, but there is a social group. I made a community group, and so I just made the constitution, which basically in the future, when I do get this business up and running, even though the courses will be, it will be for, quite a high price. Anyone that's gone through a year's worth of sobriety through a recovery provider, whether it's Kennedy Street or other examples, pavilions, so long as they've had 12 months of sobriety, they can go on these courses for free. And so that's really I'm at the stage where it's the very beginning, like I'm still like working on my website, and I guess my biggest thing would be having help with starting from the ground up, but also marketing is a big concern for me, because I actually don't have a clientele or anything, so I'm very new to this. So yes.
What a great idea. Okay, what's the website called? Is it live?
Yes and no. I'm still working on it. So it's Creationer, and yeah, it's very basic. Yeah, I've not built the website yet. So yeah, the course is like the first, because I went to university and I did music production, so it's one of my biggest passions. And so I'm at the moment I'm starting to develop a course on teaching people how to make their own mindfulness meditation CD, completely from scratch, so it's their own. And that's just like one of the things I'm working on. So yeah,
I think you'll need some mindfulness meditation after listening to that alarm for the last hour or so. No, don't bother us at all, because we're listening to you rather than the alarm. Can you tell us a bit more about what the course and courses entail then? If I went on one of the courses, what would I find? What would I do?
So how to produce your own meditation album, going through everything from start to finish using Logic Pro X. Also, I made colouring books a few years back. So how to make your own colouring books from art therapy that you've done, and eventually publish it and sell it for yourself. So I know they're very like quirky like courses, they're not traditional as per se, but you know, I really want to give people, because a lot of people that go through recovery and go through that sort of hardship, when they eventually, you know, come back into society, you know, going for the ambition of, you know, completing a degree or something like that, it's it's very taxing financially, and some people just don't have the resources to, you know, go back to uni or go, you know, spend thousands of pounds per se on certain pursuits, you know, and I want to be able to provide that, you know. So, you know, art therapy is something I go through quite a lot, and to make something out of that and to have something, I think when you produce some sort of work, whether it's music, whether it's art, you know, it's sort of like making your own fingerprint, and, you know, no one can take that away from you. It's there to stay, you know, even past you're gone. So, you know, to give people the tools to, you know, make those things, because a lot of people, let's keep it real, like, you know, once in a past life, you know, said, oh, I want to be a singer, you know, I want to, you know, I would love to release a single or something like that. And it's, you know, I just really want to show, you know, you can do it. You know, here's, you know, a few things you need, but, you know, you've got a computer, got this program, you know, let's make it happen. It's not that big of a dream that you think is so far gone. So, yeah.
So you've mentioned already that you're quite green with this. So this is a new thing, and you're wanting help in basic terms to help set this up, and also with marketing and things like that. Is there anything else that you'd like to ask of the people watching this or who will watch this?
Any ideas for every aspect of, you know, starting a business from the ground up, like, you know, or whether it's graphics. I've become friends with Steph, who you just spoke to recently. Like, you know, she's amazing. She works with us at Kennedy Street, and like, you know, she's just incredible. But yeah, I don't have the funds to afford, you know, a graphic designer. My brother's a graphic designer and so forth. So anything really, I would appreciate any, you know, input or, you know, suggestions on things to consider, you know, because I really want to do this properly and, you know, build it up, you know, the right way.
And so where does your passion come for the creative side of this? Where does that come from?
I think for me, whatever struggle I've had throughout my life, and I've had many, but I've always come back to creativity. It's just automatic. So, you know, when I was in hospital, because I've had chronic illnesses for a while, but I would always, you know, make sure I have my notepads with me, and I was doing my music, you know, on my laptop while I was, you know, at Millview. I was like, I always just go back to creativity because it just keeps me sane, to be honest. It's just what I do. I've been creative since 6. I first published a poem when I was 13. So it's just always stuck with me. Yeah, and I've been producing music since I was 16, and yeah, I've gone through a lot, but it's always stuck with me. I couldn't get rid of it even if I tried. It's like a cockroach, it won't die. So yeah, it'll stick with me. So yeah.
Well, maybe that's what you can do with this alarm then. If you've got a recorder, you can actually take it and turn it into some kind of music.
Yes. Actually, it's sort of similar to what I did at uni. I actually used the frequencies from NASA, because you can download all the recordings, because there's no sound in space. But basically, they record frequencies that are given off from certain planets and celestial bodies. So I used different frequencies from the planets to make an EP. So yeah, I've done it.
That's amazing. Now everybody just wants to hear what it sounds like, but instead we'll go over to Andy, because Andy's been writing all this down for you.
Hi, Cerise.
Hello.
Hi. As you know, what I'd like to do is just check that the ambition calling card that I've written up on your behalf, has captured your ambition. Is that sight? Oh, yes. Isn't that lovely? It sounds like your alarm has come to an end.
I've just put Cerise's mic on mute. That was me. Don't get too excited.
Cerise, I'm so sorry. I got all excited there. All right. Thanks for letting us know, Adam. Anyway, here we go, Cerise. You just started a company, right? Really exciting early days, and you're providing creative courses. Now, these creative courses, the real essence there is you're helping people personalize their own kind of creative stuff. And the example there is being able to produce their own meditation album and other self-care activities. But the emphasis is in you helping them, making it personal for them. And that's a brilliant thing. That means they can own the solutions. And you also shared with us, you're very generous, seeking to offer free spaces for those people who've succeeded in recovery for at least 12 months of sobriety. And brilliant, well done them. And it's a really lovely thing to be able to offer them. In terms of your call for help, it's nice and simple. It's really simple. Early days in the business. So you're saying you're looking for help to set up and establish that business. Really lovely, simple request, which is going to be a joy to put out there. And then, as you talked about other little opportunities. But in essence, in summary, is that pretty much the ambition?
Yes, you said it much better than I did. That was incredible. Yeah, it's quite spot on.
That's very kind of you to say so. Let me swap cameras out and say hello. Hi, it's really nice to see you. Right, let me grab the ambition and put it on the wall of so the ambition calling card, and put it on the wall of ambitions. Here we go. Cerise, your ambition is up on the wall. And we invite people to browse the wall, have a little look at these things, and to make a comment if you feel so inspired, maybe a few words of encouragement. It occurs to me that if anyone can tip you off on things like the Growth Hub and the local council's links on organizations supporting business advice and so on, it's worth a look-see on that, as well as our friends at the Good Business Club. Anyway, so other tips and advice that you might have, you'd be very welcome. If you've just gone through the process of creating your own business and you're hot on the experience and the excitement of that, then, more tips and advice and bringing Cerise into that little network might be really useful. Later down the line, when she's got enough funds to go through, it may be that connecting her with the Chamber of Commerce, when she can afford to be a member, might be a very powerful thing there as well. If you possibly know someone who could act as a nice free business mentor to help her through that process, then I'm sure it would be lovely to make that connection. Any other sort of general comments and so on. I'm going through this quite quickly, Cerise, because I'm aware of the time. But as we've been talking, has anything else come up that you think you would like help with? Anything else that you'd like to add to this?
No, that would be great. A business mentor, that would be wonderful. Also,
would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So,
especially one who's
yeah.
Especially one who's aware of what it's like at this early stage. You've got the core skills, you've got the uniqueness there, which is this whole lovely thing about personalizing the product to the people involved and giving them the power to own their own stuff. It's a lovely thing to be able to help people with. So really it falls to me to ask Adam in and make sure people know how to get in touch. So Adam, possibly for the last time this evening, but not for the last time ever, how can people get in touch and possibly give Cerise a little help?
Yeah, well, now we're talking about if you can help, well, maybe in the next 60 seconds or so, but if you can help going forwards, you're probably watching this after the fact, so after it's been broadcast live, then you can still get in touch in these three ways. You can get in touch by leaving a comment on Facebook, if that's where you're watching us, or if you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment there and we'll pass them on to Cerise. Also, you can, if you're really, really super quick, click on the link next to the video and you'll join us here in the broadcast, and you can actually explain to Cerise your support yourself. Or again, likewise, if you're dead quick, then you can write down a message on WhatsApp and send it to the number that's scrolling across the bottom of your screen, and I'll be checking Agatha, who's sending the messages on to us, and Agatha will liaise with you. Thank you so much, Cerise, for sharing all of that. I'll turn your mic back on with the beep as well. And let's bring in Claire from Kennedy Street. Hi, Claire.
Yay.
So you've been listening to Cerise's idea there, and you've supported so many people around social enterprises. I just wondered if you had any words for Cerise and anybody else watching who's at the start of the journey wanting to start social enterprise. You know, where do you begin?
Absolutely. I mean, that's how I met Cerise originally. She came on my course at the beginning of the year, I think it was, when we were in the community, and that's how we met. And then she ended up coming and volunteering for us. So it's beautiful. All of these amazing people that we are blessed to have as volunteers are such a gift. And obviously, I'm more than happy to help in any way, shape or form. What I do try and do is offer them support myself. It's a bit difficult because we're so busy at the minute. But one day a month, I do offer a little workshop for them where I can just unravel all of the information that's in this magical head of mine that I've learned over this journey. But if there's anybody listening, and you know, you can help any of the volunteers to achieve their greatest potential, we'd really appreciate it. But no, of course, Cerise is going to be there a week on Monday when I'm delivering a workshop for all the volunteers that come and volunteer for us. So we'll support as much as we can.
Thanks, Claire. And Cerise, this is covering up your face now, but this is a comment from Steph who says, as a fellow volunteer for Kennedy Street, I'm always happy to share my experience and offer support where I can, even if it's a brainstorming session. Cerise is lovely and has a lot of knowledge.
Lovely.
Yeah. She's amazing. She's a font of wonderful knowledge, and she's such a gift to us, like I said. And that's what we do at Kennedy Street. You know, we support people in the community, but the volunteers that come and volunteer for us, we're like a family. It's great. We all support one another. Beautiful.
Yeah. Another idea that pops into mind, Cerise, is the Community Works. Community Works does a mentoring scheme. I don't know about the eligibility. Andy might know more about that. But that might be another avenue to look at in terms of getting a mentor who could help.
I think she would be eligible, to be honest. She's a constituted community group. She's registered as a constituted community group, and the only requirement to be a member of Community Works is that you are a registered entity. So good thinking, Batman.
Yeah.
Lovely. Right. Well, we're at the end of the event. Thank you so much, Cerise, for sharing your ambition. It's been great to hear. We'll be back in touch with you to offer more support if and when it comes through, and we'll be making a social media post about it as well to try and spread the message even further.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Cerise. And thank you, Claire, as well, for partnering with us this evening. It's been wonderful. We've had so many fantastic ambitions coming through and people being supported as well. And it's been a pleasure. So just want to say thank you, Claire, for all the incredible work you're doing, and to find time for a little old Ambigo in the middle of the busiest period of Kennedy Street's existence. It means a lot.
And you know what? The work that you guys do, I so appreciate everything that you do with the heart that you do it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart to you and your kindness, because you are good men, and we need more Andys and more Adams in the world.
Oh, sharks.
Yeah. So red-faced now, red-cheeked.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claire. We can send that all back to you. So, Claire, that's it for now. We best go because we're running over time. Anything else you'd like to say, Andy?
Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to partner with us in the future, we'd love to do so as well. You might be almost as good as Kennedy Street. I'm teasing, but it would be a joy. So do get in touch. But that's it from me, Adam.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be back with you very soon. We do these events weekly. And yeah, as Andy says, if you want to partner with us, or maybe you've got a goal that you would like to share yourself, get in touch. and we might be able to find a slot for you. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you